We usually spend this New Year segment highlighting the best of sports, but 2020 has certainly changed some of that narrative. Not just in sports, but life too. So many headlines, some good, some okay, some bad, some horrific. With that said, we've decided to share the best of 2020 through 4 interviews. Our first, racing legend Mario Andretti. In late May, when the Indy 500 was supposed to be on full display, Mario highlights how motor racing helped the world turn the corner in the fight against COVID-19.
I always tell people that I love racing, Mario, not just because of the racing, but the actual, sport being at the front of innovation. And I was really happy to see that you see someone like Ferrari making ventilators for the pandemic, even Ford here in America making ventilators and PPE. As someone that's a dual citizenship, you must be very excited about watching both countries contribute and having racing being out in the forefront in the helping efforts.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, excited and very proud, that they put aside, their main specialty and their careers and just dove in there, to help, as you say, the rest of the world in need of ventilators, which at the moment everybody was sort of, we need some pronto. It's not something that you can just snap your finger and build. So it's a complicated piece of equipment, and the engineering factor capabilities, Ferrari and I think Red Bull did something like that, Mercedes. I mean, my heart, it's wonderful to see that. Kudos to that, to all of them. And Ford, GM, they all did their part. I mean, the auto industry participated in a wonderful way, and again, we're part of the auto industry, and we're very proud of that.
Our next interview spotlights a Globetrotter with local roots here in New York. We sat down with Harlem Globetrotter Max Pearce in June to discuss how racism has affected the young Hooper's career and how he has dedicated himself to promoting change through basketball.
Max, I would love to get your perspective too, because as a young black star in the world today, I think the question, especially from those that are trying to kind of get involved with the conversation and the dialogue, is what is it like to be a young African American male, and what does someone have to do that might not understand the conversation in order to affect change?
Yeah, first of all, I really appreciate this question. I guess the first step for true change is for white people to just be open-minded and listen with the intent of understanding. I think a lot of the times there are good-hearted people out there that want to listen, but the second that they hear the term white privilege, they lock up and get defensive because they associate white privilege with having bad moral character, and that's not the case. White privilege just comes from being born as a white person in America, and you're reaping the benefits of the systematically biased structure that we have. And so if people could take the time to understand that and understand how it affects Black people, then I think it would allow us to get into the minds of people who are not as coherent and educated on what is going on right now. So I mean, there's so many layers to it, and it can be really difficult to unpack. But for starters, self-education is what needs to happen, for Black people and for white people. I went live on my Instagram about 3.5 weeks ago, and I was called the N-word like 20 times in a row, and I just had to act like I didn't see it and just remove that person from the live while continuing to speak about what I wanted to speak about. And then, just scrolling on Twitter, I see videos of altercations between a Black person and a white person, and the white person gets so upset that they feel like the only way that they can take a deep dig or a deep stab at that Black person is to use that ultimate triggering word, which is the N-word. and it just shows your true colors. So it's very difficult to deal with.
ESPN national baseball writer Marly Rivera echoed similar stories of struggle as a rising female journalist in a business that is still predominantly a man's world. In late September, Rivera spoke passionately about the struggles of being a woman and a woman of color.
As you know, Bobby, I used to be on the Yankees beat, and then I became a national writer, and I sort of have a hybrid position now, kind of doing both. And it's been a true challenge. And what happens is that I thought that when I started 20 years ago, that you and I would have this conversation today and think that it had gotten better. And the problem is that it hasn't. You know, we've had to adapt in a different, it doesn't mean acceptance is very different from being allowed to do something, right? The reason what Claire Smith and all these pioneering women, you know, dealt with at one point was the fact they couldn't even come into the clubhouse, right? They were denied access to their place of work. Right now, we have plenty of access. The problem is the acceptance, right? We've seen it recently out there, you know, with the vitriol and the comments again against women in sports. And it's a very difficult thing to do. And it's particularly difficult as a woman of color. We have a joke that we have all the strikes against us, right? It's like, it's every one of them, because you're not only a woman, you're a woman of color. And then you are, you know, in a sport that is the biggest boys club, you know, that exists in many ways. Some people say it's the NFL. I can guarantee you that it's not. I've covered them both. And Major League Baseball is a lot tighter in terms of welcoming, right, those voices in there. As we know, this year is the first time that we ever have a full-time coach in Alyssa Nacken with the San Francisco Giants. And there's still, to this day, even though there's plenty of qualified women, and we have played baseball for more than a century, there isn't a single woman who has been a general manager or assistant general manager of a team in baseball. So, you know, we have a lot of places to go, and we still have a lot of ground to cover. And unfortunately, we have retroceded, and everything that we've seen with everything out there, it's getting worse. And I really didn't expect that to happen. So it's been a very difficult time to be on social media and have to handle quite a bit of the vitriol and the things that they say out there against women in sport.
New York Times bestselling author Jeff Pearlman put 2020 into perspective for us. The acclaimed sports writer and New York native himself just penned a book about Kobe Bryant and the last Lakers dynasty with Kobe at the helm. We sat down with Jeff in early October to speak about the loss of Kobe and how it seemed to start the spiral of 2020. You know, what was your first reaction to the passing of Kobe Bryant? I mean, I know for me, sometimes even thinking about it now, still a sense of shock that he's gone.
Sad, real profound sadness. Same as you. I still, sometimes when I do these interviews, I accidentally slip into present tense. I mean, it sucks. My first reaction wasn't, oh, his last game when he scored, or oh, it was this guy died with his daughter. This guy died in a helicopter crash with his daughter, who's 13 years old, same age my kid is. Like, that is devastating. That is still devastating. And his remaining 3 daughters are going to be haunted by that for the rest of their lives. His widow obviously is going to be haunted by that for the rest of their lives. I know he meant a lot to a lot of people as a basketball player and as an icon. But to me, like, this idea that he died on a helicopter crash with his daughter is so haunting and so tragic and so sad. That's really what I felt at the time, and still sticks with me.
We've come full circle. The LA Lakers won it for Kobe and Gigi. We managed to see a World Series champ and a Stanley Cup final too. Up next is a Buffalo Bills playoff game with a New York piloted testing plan that could reopen large-scale events to fans like Broadway and the Super Bowl, and plenty of more vaccinations as hopefully we get closer to halting COVID-19 for good. That will allow us to get back to the games and the life we love. Here's to all sports, near and far, from our homes to yours. All the best from the BronxNet boys, CP and Bobby C. Happy 2021, fam. We'll see you next time on Open. Stay tuned.